Happy December 13th. Now, in Norway and in Scandinavia, despite being Protestant countries, we celebrate St. Lucy's Day every year on the December 13th. Norway and Scandinavia has a heritage of being Catholic. I mean, after the Viking era and before the Protestant Reformation, Norway was ruled by Rome. So this is a part of the Norwegian cultural religious heritage. And also, we do have a small minority of Catholic believers in Norway to this very present day. I mean, Catholics, they do exist. It's true. So, you could call this St. Lucy's Day celebration multiculturalism. Now, have you heard that word before? Multiculturalism. I'll get back to that word. Now, St. Lucy, I mean, mind you, I am not an expert on Catholic saints. I mean, I am no authority. Believe it. But St. Lucy, as is my understanding, was a rich young noble woman, an heiress to a fortune. Her father died when she was a young girl, and her mother wanted to marry her off. Now, Lucy was a godly woman who wanted to spend her fortune on helping widows and orphans, according to God's holy will. But her husband-to-be, he wanted to spend her fortune on building his ego, building his ego to biblical proportions, like most men, a man-hater would say. Anyways, so he had her put to death, no less, because she refused to marry him. She refused this forced marriage. I mean, this guy, he sounds like Luca Brazzi, these Italians. So Lucy, she said she wanted to be the bride of Christ. I mean, who can blame her? Who wants to marry a monster? But, women, we are the ultimate ego crushers, okay? You gotta have some victim blaming. Of course, it's the woman's fault. So the story goes that Lucy had these amazing and beautiful eyes. And someone put out her eyes, and this is how she died, okay? This monster of a man that wanted her money, he tortured her in many, many ways. So Lucy, she became the patron saint of the blinded. And the story goes that in her death, her eyes were restored to her. Now, St. Lucy, she was an Italian, okay? She was a Sicilian. I mean, these island dwellers, okay? Yes, I am prejudiced, okay? I've come to expect this from these people. So, St. Lucy's Day, it's about the blinded and restoration of sight. And it is celebrated on the 13th of December. And that used to be, the winter solstice under the Julian calendar. This was before they moved it till December 21st, according to the modern calendar. So the symbolism, particularly in Norway, okay, it gets really dark in December. Take my word for it, okay, and pay no attention to the daylight, okay? It's for a short time. So the symbolism is that in the darkness, Lucy, the patron saint of the blinded, she brings light. Even the name Lucy means light. And being blinded, being in the dark, can also symbolize lacking knowledge and lacking wisdom. I mean, so far, so good, okay? Now, the atheists and other God-forsaken heathens and pagans, they say that this celebration is just cultural appropriation of some age-old heathen practice of celebrating winter solstice. Yes, this is what they pontificate, okay? I've actually heard them. So they believe that St. Lucy's Day is all about, the darkness of winter and the darkness of night and the demons coming out. And it's all demonic, okay? It's a total perversion, okay? These people are actual Satanists. I mean, if you think Halloween is demonic, okay, at least there's trick or treat. In this perverse celebration, there's only trickery, okay? It's totally demonic. Needless to say, I don't keep faith with heathens because, I am a Christian, for Christ's sake. And they are just jealous, okay, of our celebration, but I'll get back to that. But just to make a point about their ridiculousness, okay? Let's say it was the dinosaurs that started the tradition of celebrating winter solstice. Yes, the dinosaurs would gather around a Christmas tree and sing dinosaur songs. Now, the dinosaurs, they would put the blonde dinosaurs in front because the dinosaurs, they believed in white supremacy. And the Aryan dinosaurs, they had the highest IQ. The dinosaurs believed. Yes, these dinosaurs were Nazis and racist. And they had slaves too. I mean, low IQ dragon dinosaurs that would spit fire without any pay from the bourgeois Aryan high IQ dinosaurs. So yeah, what I'm really telling you is that the dinosaurs, they were Nazi racist slaveholders. And I demand, based on this, personal belief, that all statues of dinosaurs be taken down and destroyed in shame. All these, stupid bone models of dinosaurs should be burned. I mean, we have to erase the memory of these Nazi racist slaveholder dinosaurs. Okay, end of story. What do you have to write in a history paper to flunk, I wonder? So this is multiculturalism, people. I mean, do you recognize the pattern? And multiculturalism, it is the father of identity politics. More on multiculturalism later, okay? So testimony time. When I was a little one, a very, very little one, I grew up around some Nazis and commies, okay, and fascists in my hood. Yes, I am familiar with heathens. So always around St. Lucy's Day celebration and Advent and Christmas celebration and even Easter celebration, or all the Christian celebrations really, these heathen kids, they would get so offended. Now, truth be told, I would get super excited. I might be the most Christmas excited person in the world. So I guess my excitement sparked envy and jealousy. I mean, these poor kids, they were banned from anything Christian. And if you ask me, that must be a real bummer. I mean, why don't we celebrate Christmas, Dad? Oh, son, Daddy hates Jesus, and Daddy loves King Alcohol, you see. And Daddy loves to bang transvestites, and Daddy loves to worship Satan. You see, Daddy is a demon-possessed pagan. Oi vey. Well, Christians, they really know how to celebrate. I mean, all we do is amazing and beautiful. I mean, the Christmas tree, the Christmas lights, the Christmas decorations, the Christmas songs, the Christmas gifts, the Christmas food, and even Santa Claus. I mean, wow! I mean, it's and also, you know, the churches and the architecture. Listen, King Louis the 14th of France, he killed his architect because, you know, he made something amazing and beautiful. This is what jealousy will do, okay? No wonder heathens get envious and jealous. What are the woke holidays compared to the Christian celebrations? I mean, I've seen these pride parades. I mean, they are talentless. And I'm being nice, okay? And they did not have any pride parades in my boondocks. I mean, imagine being a kid and the only celebration your kinfolk practice is pride parades and drug and alcohol induced fun like flashing your fake man boobs outside of the White House. And then you hear the crazy tales, you know, of the Christian Christmas parties. Yeah, envy and jealousy, people. That's why the commies want to kill Christmas. You know, they are envious and jealous of all what's beautiful and true. And they are party poopers. I mean, literally. That's what they project, okay? They project a turd of shit. I mean, these are not the party people. Oh, I mean, a drag queen story hour with songs about free Palestine in a library, in a Biden bookmobile. I mean, who wants to go to that party? I mean, Jesus Christ, save me. This is talentless. So in school, in my class, from 1st to 6th grade, we were in a small parish school. We were only 7 pupils in my class, okay? 4 boys and 3 girls. And for the St. Lucy's Day celebration in school, this was a yearly tradition, I would always get picked to be Lucy. I think it was the Nazi teachers who would pick me because I am, you know, blonde. This is Nazi humor, you see, turning the Sicilian Italian girl into a blonde girl. I mean, ha ha ha. It's the Nazis' way of undermining the symbolism, okay? They believe the blonde girls are demonic, I guess. I mean, they work really hard on making Norwegian girls Nazis. The whole school system is rigged to accomplish this feat. But the joke is on the Nazis, because I actually, as it turns out, I do actually have the content of this character, blonde or not. So I do bring light into a dark, dark house. Now in 8th grade, the year of confirmation in Norway, I was even picked to be Lucy in church. By this time, the whole parish had been accustomed to me being Lucy, okay? And by the whole parish, I mean us 7. 4 boys and 3 girls. So as a part of confirmation preparation, the kids, they celebrate St. Lucy's Day in church. So the kids, they do a parade, a light parade up the aisle of the sanctuary. So I remember that day vividly. we were standing in the foyer. Now, this is what they say in the US, okay, the foyer. It's in Norway, we call it the weapon house, okay, the foyer. So the 7 children of my parish, okay, there were 3 parishes in my county. So we all went to the same middle school, but for confirmation in church, we were divided into 3 parishes. So we were standing in the foyer, in the weapon house. So we were all dressed in white, with, candles in our hands, and Lucy, with candles in my hair also. And we were waiting to enter the church sanctuary, and I was standing on the threshold. So, as the big doors leading into the sanctuary were opening, there came this breeze of air from the sanctuary into the foyer where we were standing. I mean, picture this. What had happened was, one of the girls in this Lucia procession, this was in the late 80s, beginning of the 90s, okay? And she had a lot of hairspray in her hair. I mean, she had a lot of hair, and she had a lot of hairspray in that hair. So as the doors opened and the whole parish turned to look at the Lucia procession, I mean, I was in the front of this band of light bearers, so I only saw a flash of light. But what had happened was, this girl's hairspray had a reaction with the candle of the boy behind her in the procession. I mean, it must have been a great and awesome thing to behold. But I only saw the change in atmosphere, I mean, and the light flare up as a shadow type. Okay, the sun came up in the weapon house, apparently. And of course, the girl, she let out a scream. I mean, it was a sound like something straight out of hell. So by the time I turned to look, I mean, I had to be careful because my head was full of living lights. So by the time I turned, the whole thing had passed. But listen, I'm a very, very cheerful person by nature, and I'm always in high spirits. So I really don't need this kind of stimulation. So I was immediately possessed or oppressed or tormented or taken captive. Listen, I don't know, by a spirit of laughter. And I had to wrestle with this spirit to keep a straight face throughout the whole church service. I mean, that battle took years of my life. I mean, thank God, Jesus is a healer. It's not good for your health or your well-being, body, soul, and spirit, to hold back this level of laughter, amusement, and heavenly joy. Listen, Norwegians are very serious people when they go to church. I think it's because, they always have a cemetery surrounding the church, and the fascists, they are really fascinated by cemeteries, because I think they want to live in a cemetery, actually. And it didn't make matters better that one of the guys in the choir that night, I mean, he had ears the size of Dumbo. And I mean, I leaned over and shared this gospel with the girl sitting next to me, and she was laughing so hard she was crying, okay? Oh boy. we are raised, to be serious in church. It's, it's a it's an important part of the whole experience. Now, I am not saying that the boy behind the girl was 100% innocent. We have more than one pyromaniac in my parish, and don't ask me how I know. We had a class party at our substitute teacher's place in 6th grade, the same posse, okay? And she was leaving, as our teacher. Her name was Teresa, and she was a wonderful substitute teacher. I mean, she was a Christian. But at this farewell party, the home knit sweater of my classmate caught fire as she was reaching for a potato chip, and her arm came too close to the candle on the table. I mean, her home knit sweater was highly flammable, it turns out. And you all understand, she became the life of the party that night. Now, candle lights are called living lights in Norway, and political forces, they want to ban living lights from public spaces because of the, fire hazard. And I'm not saying Norway is number one in Europe when it comes to house burnings and such, but we are certainly among the top 3. I mean, Finland might be number 1, okay? And that's probably why the Finns are the most happy. I speculate that it's cause and effect, okay? But it might just be a frivolous correlation. Anyways, so what I am telling you, my parish peer, she caught fire, bursted into a ball of fire in the foyer, the weapon house of the church sanctuary. So I'm not saying that hairspray is a spiritual weapon, or living lights for that matter. I'm just saying, the fight is real. This is childhood trauma, people. How am I supposed to show reverence for God under those circumstances? My parish peer literally turned into the light of the world. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire. Christians, we have more fun, okay? It's true. Jealousy and envy. So, the idea in multiculturalism is that society turns into a salad bowl. That's what they say, not a melting pot. So, like in Norway, we have an indigenous peoples living in the north of Norway. And they went through a national doctrine of Norwegian unification. They had to go to school and learn Norwegian, the Norwegian language, and Protestant Christianity. And the children, they had to be separated from their parents because their parents were nomads. They did not have a culture of living in a parish. These are the Sápmi people up north in Norway. So through this process, these Sápmi people, they learned how to read and how to write and how to learn and what it means to be a Norwegian. But lately, the humanists, they have made a big hoopla about this process that they went through, the process of unity. Because they just find a Sápmi trader willing to sell his testimony for some humanism, power, and influence. That's how it's done, okay? It's just a propaganda show, okay? La elva leve. Let the river live. Okay, these Sápmi people, they worshipped their forefathers, okay? They would say that the northern lights, it was the souls of their forefathers looking down on them. So what I'm telling you is that the Sapmi people, or at least the forefathers, they were worshippers of light, the northern lights, okay? They were not worshippers of darkness, they were not humanists, and they were not communists, okay? And these people, they work with reindeers, you know, it's a big part of the Christmas tradition. Now, I remember back on the school bus in middle school, I had a dialogue with a communist kid. I liked talking to communists growing up because they were full of emotions and their projections were always weird and wacko. So I don't remember what we were talking about, okay? I only remember the projection. So this little commie, he said to me that Christianity is all about land grabs. I mean, he was projecting, okay? This little sucker was a passionate land grabber, apparently, a dominionist and a communist. Listen, don't let communists label you, okay? You're not a Christian nationalist, you're not a dominionist. You are the beloved disciple of Jesus Christ. You are a friend of God, okay? And there are only two dominions. It's the kingdom of truth, and kingdom of light, and the kingdom of lies, the kingdom of darkness. So this little communist, I mean, he was a passionate land grabber. I mean, he had a talent for communism. I mean, talk about weird and whack, right? The force was strong with this one. It's stuff like this that gives me a pause and makes me ponder, because they are driven by the Jezebel spirit. And the Jezebel spirit perverts national unity. It's communism, okay? It's the kingdom of lies. And you have no autonomy in such a kingdom, okay? And autonomy is very, very important. It's part of the First Amendment. It's truth, autonomy, and democracy, right? Do you remember? Now, what have I written? Well, yeah, Christians are not land grabbers, okay? Christians actually care about human resources, okay? Like autonomy. Now, in the secular school in Norway, they have this motto, okay? The autonomous teacher. I mean, autonomous teacher. I mean, ha, ha, ha. This is false advertisement, okay? The teachers in the Norwegian secular school are not autonomous, okay? They are Soviet soldiers. They are commie soldiers. They are not allowed to pontificate by their own free will. They are just following orders from the humanists. And best case scenario, these teachers are just Nazis, okay? National socialists, as opposed to the commies who are, you know, working for world domination. I mean, talk about dominionists. So, if you work in secular education, you are either a Soviet soldier or a Nazi pawn, blinded to what you are a part of. This educational Auschwitz, working to kill and murder not just Jews, but all religions. I mean, they kill you spiritually, okay? They are so evil, they should be tax exempt, I guess it was these false teachers that were sent to unify the Sapmi people. Okay, it was these Nazis. And they probably taught them humanism and communism. So they were supposed to unify the Norwegian people with the Sapmi people, but they did their own unifying, I guess. We don't need false teachers, okay? Like Jordan Peterson, an atheist preaching fantasy Christianity. I mean, Christianity is not a fantasy league. Christians are not fantasy players. I am the real player, and I don't keep faith with atheists like the psychologist Jordan Peterson. The Bible is not some fantasy story. It's not a meta narrative. The Bible, it's the truth, I believe. It's the word of God. And I have a personal relationship with the word, with the narrative. I mean, think about that, you psychologists. So, the humanists, they don't believe in the melting pot. They don't believe in national unity. No, the humanists, they believe in the salad bowl, multiculturalism, of course, when they are out of power. So the Sapmi people, suddenly, they have their own Congress, and there's even talk about a Sapmi Etna, the Sapmi nation. Now, why do the humanists show so much interest in the Sapmi people? Well, these former shamanistic people are easy to manipulate. They are easy to manipulate, control, and dominate through symbolic violence because they are spiritually weak and slow. So that makes them fertile prey for communism. It's just a land grab, okay? This is what communists do. Communism, they use words like secularism and neutralism, but once they have power, their national